Hi guys, I just wanted to give a quick rundown of the zone drawing tool update. For both the basic and the pro version. So the basic, all you get is the zones drawn. It basically is just drawing these stop iceberg events on the chart for you. These stop runs and icebergs, right? So it's just giving you an indication where it happened, and then it's showing you the current ATR. So the ATR is how I judge whether these events are bullish or bearish, if the market can push out a 5-minute while there's ATR above or below, and that's how I judge. And but this, other than that, that's all you're getting here. You'll see in the pro version how I actually take advantage of that with the trades, so on and so forth. So you get the ATR, you get it on the sub chart, and you get it up here as the blue line. The pro version, you get much more data. So you can see here as I bring these on, you get the first and foremost the long aggressive and the short aggressive line. So this is where I enter trades, right? So I force the markets. So once they hit the blue, that confirms the ATR. That confirms whether the market is bullish or bearish. If I want to enter the trade, I force the market to get an ATR plus 15%. That's what this yellow line is. So the way I do this is if I enter there, my stop is on the other side. And so this is called a short aggressive long. This is called a short aggressive short. So this is where I will get in the trade, and then if I'm wrong, this is where I stop out. So that allows me to be within the whipsaw nonsense without getting stopped out. So if I'm going to be wrong, it's got to come back to full ATR. It's got to get through the event and push out another ATR plus for me to stop out. So again, if I go short, then this is my stop for the long. So the vice versa. Why it says aggressive, I have different methods of entering the trades. You could get in, first move out. That's aggressive entry. Or you can wait for ATR retest confirm. It's still called aggressive on the list here. Of course, I lost it. Hold on here. Let's see if it brings it up there. No, of course not. I just had it. There we go. So long aggressive, short aggressive. That's all that is, right? So that's where I would enter the trade. Then the rest of these are these reversion lines. So the 1 ATR short entry, the 1 ATR long entry. Right, so that is if I'm taking reversion trades. So we have different types of trades. So we have position trades where I'm jumping in at this yellow line for longs or shorts. Then we have trades that play for the move back to this. So I have courses on this as well, as you guys know. So the reversion trade, if I'm taking the 1 ATR reversion, it's right in front of an ATR because of the propensity for these algos to jump in front of the ATR to snap it back. So that's why the 1 ATR entry is there for the short entry back to the zone, or the long entry back to the zone. Then you have the stop for that trade, right? So that's the dotted line is the entry if you want to get in. Oh, and then what's also important is where you get out too. So back at the zone, that's this line here. It's the take profit line, right? So there's a take profit for the shorts. There's a take profits for the longs. So if I'm getting in the reversion trade, this is where I'm taking profit. Back, it's 10% of an ATR in front of the zone, so it doesn't have to actually tag the zone. If I'm going long the ATR trade, this is where I get out. This is also considered the retest of the zone for my other trades, right? So if I'm waiting, for instance, for a bark trade where I'm looking for the pattern ATR retest confirm, well, the retest is that line. It doesn't have to touch the exact zone. It's just in front of there. So that's what that line is for. That's the take profit for the reversion trade, and it's also the line that confirms the retest of the zone. So depending on what type of strategy you're taking. And then so here's the stop loss for the one, stop loss for the long and short, right? So if I go short on this 1 ATR trade, here's my stop. And then if I go long on the 1 ATR trade, that's my stop for that. And then as we continue to funnel through these things, of course I lost it again. It's hard to keep it on this screen. That's the issue. I'm trying to see how it's like popping and it goes because I've got screens above this. Goodness gracious. Bear with me here. All right, there you go. All right, so then the rest of these are just the same, right? So if I go, here's the 2 long, that's that dotted line. If I were going to take the long reversion trade, and then the 2, the stop loss for that, and then the 2 short, that's the stop loss. The short entries here. So that's the dotted line, and here's the stop. So that's all these are. The dotted lines are the entries for the 1, the 2, and I'm going to put the 3 up here in a second. And then the dashed dotted line, the red one, that's the stop out for the 1, the 2. And if you hover over it, you can see it there too. You see it there, and it shows at the bottom. Again, if I move this, I'm going to screw it up. But you see at the bottom left there, short, it tells you the price there. And you could also bring it up over here too. So if you go into this little cogwheel, you can bring it up. So this is for on the chart, these, and then over here, these are for if you want to see the values over here, and then you can have them as circles, volume bars. I use text, it's just easier, and then you just glance over. So if I wanted to know the long aggressive, if I'm taking the a long trade here, I know the long aggressive is 75.25, right? Or you can hover over it. So there's different methods to see it down there on the bottom left. Why does that say 75.25 in this? Oh, because it's the current, sorry. So it's basically right there, wherever the current price is, where it is right now, right? Basing off the zone at the time. So that's that, and then you obviously have the 3 ATR reversion as well. And of course I can't bring it up here. Hold on. There. Oh, that was easy. Anyway, and then you got the 3 entry for the long, the stop loss for the long, entry for the short, stop loss for the short. So that's what all those lines are on the chart. So you can see it's not that complicated. People look at this and think it's so complicated. It's just showing these different, and you can take them on and off like I did. If you don't want to take the reversion trades, take them off. If you don't want to see the ATR, take it off. It's all customizable. So that leads me into the, so that's the pro version. Again, you don't get that in the basic. Then if you go into here, you can configure a bunch of stuff as well. So you can change the colors of the zones, right? Or the lines. That's all this stuff. The zones with the buy, sells. I get into that where you can draw manually too. But I have my buy stops at yellow. I have my sell stops at red. Sell ice is black. Buy ice is blue. So you don't have any ice in here, but that's what those draw as. You don't have to worry about this stuff. So I get questions all the time about that. You don't have to put any ID in with the new version, so don't worry about that. I do it because we're doing something with automation, but you don't have to worry about that. If you want to do the telegram, you can do that. Actually, I think he goes over that in the video, the other video that I just sent out. If you need it, just email me, scott@scottszonesupdatevid.com, and I'll send you that video. Kind of goes over the telegram function. Where you'll get alerts on your phones if you get an event, which is important, right? If you have to take off and you got to trade on, you want to know if an event fires off and you're trailing your stop to that event, or if you just want to know events are firing off to come back to your computer, you can get that stuff on your phone. The other good thing about the Pro here is you can put in your capital and how much so this is very important in trading. It's the most important thing, so you don't overtrade as far as sizing. You put in your account size and you put in your risk level. Again, I'm risking 10% through these trades. That's too much overall. I don't want to get into that. But say you're trading a regular account and you put in 2% or 2.0, and then it'll whatever you put in as your sizing. That's what it. That's how the position sizing comes out here, right? So if I'm taking the positions trades here, meaning, so if I'm entering here and exiting here, so say I'm taking a long. Entering at this yellow line that we talked about, exiting at that yellow line, I could put on 0.8 of a contract for that risk, right, based on position trading. If I'm doing the reversion trade, so if I'm taking the 1 ATR reversion that we talked about with the entry there, stop there, I could put on two big ones. So these are based off the big contract. If you see 0.8, it just means you can't put on 0.8 of a big contract, you can put on 8 micros. So that's just, it's basing it off the big contract, the MQ. If you're trading MNQ, you can put on 8 micros, right? So this one, if I was taking the 1 ATR reversion either way, I could put on 2 big ones or 20 micros. Now it's down to see how it's changing. But so this one's for the reversion 1, reversion 2, reversion 3. So remember each one of these. So if I'm risking $500 in a trade and I take all 3 of these in one of my strategies where I'm taking, say the backdoor reversions where I take the 3, the 2, the 1 back to the zone. Well, each one of these I'm risking $500. So if you only want to risk $500 for the whole reversion trade, if you're taking all 3, well then you got to cut these in a third pretty much. You see what I'm saying? So each one of these are based off 500, and then this is risking 500, and that's risking 500, entering there, exiting there. So that's that. And then the other things on here for the Pro, you can actually turn it on, the last zone on and off as far as the display with the numbers. Where it's not there unless you hover over it. See how it populates if I hover over it, and you can do this on the prior ones too. You'll never see the display unless you hover on the prior ones if a new one's drawn. But if you don't want to see those numbers, you can turn it on and off there. And then we went over the colors and all the levels for all these different, the dotted, dash dotted, and the stops. That's all what we just went over here. And then if you wanted to change the threshold, so this is important. I wouldn't change these overall, but because this is from me watching thousands of these, and you might want to take my word for it, but if you want to change them to whatever you want. If you're trading overnight, Globex session, a lot of times you can change these to half, and it's trade worthy, right? So we have thresholds for a reason, that they're trade worthy events that we're willing to trade off of. I need to see 500 stops in ES or 700 icebergs in ES. If I don't see those, I don't trade it. Well, overnight, obviously, a lot of times the trade's a lot slower. You can move these to half value and trade off of them if you're trading the overnight session. If you see a heavy relative volume coming in, like use the Sierra chart relative volume, and it's very heavy, 2 times or more, I would just use your normal threshold. So this is just customizable to whatever you want to trade them to, and then you can turn on turn on and off the reversion lines here too if you want. You got it there, and then you got it where I showed you earlier. Other than that, I think that's it for the zone drawing tool. So, any questions? You can shoot me an email. Any problems, shoot me an email as well. I contact Bookmap first, and then if they can't help you, because again, if I was spend all my time dealing with emails and troubleshooting, I wouldn't have time to trade. So contact them first. If they can't help you, you can contact me. And if I can't help you, then I'll put you in contact with the developer you want. But that's a basic overview. This thing's incredible for trading and knowing these areas. Again, it's the whole foundation of my trading. So hopefully that helps.